Hi everybody, my name is Greg Anderson, and once again, this is an episode of the Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. I found another model of Casio G-Shock watch that I want to talk about, so let's do that right now. Well, here they are. It's variations on the Casio G-Shock GW-M5610. This is the GW-M5610. This is the GW-M5610BA, as in bad actor. So this one is the most commonly available here in the United States. And this one, actually, I bought it from someone who sent it from Japan. So this one, not as easy to find in the United States. I paid a little bit more so I could get the Japanese version. I just like the different color variation here. There are many, many models of this watch in a lot of different color combinations, including the reverse LCD version. So instead of dark characters against a light background, it's light characters against a dark background. So there are many variations of that, and some of them are very easy to get here in the United States. This one here with the red little pinstripe around is actually very similar to one of the older, almost classic by this point, G-Shock model watches introduced many, many years ago, like in the 1980s. So, in fact, there's one that looks very similar to this. A friend of mine says he has one, and it was featured in the movie Speed with Keanu Reeves. He wore a watch that looked like this. Looked like it, but this new version has some features, some newer features that you might enjoy. Both of these feature tough solar technology from Casio. Tough solar means that here on the outside of the display, around the face, there's a solar cell built into each of these watches. The solar cell charges a battery inside each watch. So there's no need to change the battery. You can go years and years and years without having to replace a battery because of the tough solar function. So there are older versions that don't have tough solar on them. Also, the Multiband 6 technology for automatic time updating using atomic timekeeping. So there's a radio receiver built into the watch, each of these, and that radio receiver will automatically receive atomic time information from one of 6 atomic time transmitters in different parts of the world. There's one in China, there are 2 in Japan, 1 in the United States, 1 in the UK, and 1 in Germany, for a total of 6. And that's why it says Multiband 6. So depending on where you are, set your local time zone to whatever corresponds to the closest atomic time transmitter, and this watch will automatically reset the time, update the time, keep itself synchronized. So with these particular models, no need to change the battery, no need to even set the clock because of the tough solar and Multiband 6 technology. Now there are some other versions that look very similar to these watches. I believe the model number is DW5600. And so some of them, they don't have Multiband 6, but maybe they have tough solar but not Multiband 6. Or maybe some of the versions don't have tough solar and don't have Multiband 6 either. Those will probably cost less. These right here, well, this one, you can easily find this one for under $100. This one, since I had to send away to Japan, it was probably closer to $140, $150. But either way, not too bad as far as the affordability, especially when you consider features like tough solar and Multiband 6 built in. Some of the other versions that are out there, like I said, there are several different color combinations. There's one where this entire case around it is a different color, maybe like a desert tan color on all this plastic resin material. Maybe there's one that's kind of has zebra stripes on it. Look around and find the one that you like best and go for it. I settled on these 2 for now. I might get more. Other functions you're going to find on these watches. Here, let me just get into this one. Press the mode button, and you'll find that it has a world time mode. So you can select some other time zone from some other part of the world and display the time in that time zone. If you want to change the time zone displayed, here I've got it UTC or Greenwich time as my default. But if I push this button down here on the lower right, then it's like scrolling on a map to the east, and I start seeing other time zones based on, we'll see right there, Paris would be the major city in that time zone. Rome, so it identifies the major city of that time zone and shows you that time. You can scroll all the way around the world, and if you push, let's see, push these two buttons on the right side together, and that will default you back to UTC. Next major function here, well, you've got alarm settings. First of all, you've got an hourly signal, which will just beep every hour on the hour. That's part of the alarm mode. Go in again, push this button here on the lower right, and you've got alarm 1, alarm 2, alarm 3, alarm 4. Those are just regular daily alarms that go off for about 10 seconds. But then there's a snooze alarm as well that you can have. So the 5th alarm is a snooze alarm. It will go off for 10 seconds, and then 5 minutes later it will go again. And 5 minutes later it will go again for a total of 7 times, or a total of half an hour from the initial alarm to the last one in that snooze feature. So you've got, many alarm options there. Let's see, next is a stopwatch. And so pretty standard stuff as far as stopwatches go. Use this button down here on the lower right to start and stop the stopwatch, just like that. And then this button on the upper left is the one you use for split time or lap time functions. So there you go, stop the stopwatch and reset with this button here on the upper left. It will count, obviously, hours, minutes, seconds, and hundredths of a second, all the way up to 24 hours. If you reach 24 hours, then it's going to reset to 0 and keep going, which means you can time things that last longer than 24 hours, but you will have to keep track of how many days you're timing, and the watch will then keep track of hours, minutes, seconds, and hundredths of a second as you go. Next is the countdown timer, and you can set hours and minutes and count down as many as you want to this way, up to 24 hours. If you want to have a true 24-hour countdown, let's go in and set this. What you do for a true 24-hour countdown is you take it down to where it shows 0, and then start it off, and there you go. It'll count down a full 24 hours. Otherwise, you can set it to as many hours and minutes as you want and use a countdown for anywhere from 1 minute up to the full 24 hours. I should mention the countdown timer. When the countdown timer is running, atomic time reception is disabled. So when I bought this watch over here, I was fiddling with it when I first set it up, and I was playing with the countdown timer and all the other functions. And then I decided to try to manually make it receive automatic time information from the atomic clock, and it wouldn't work. I tried everything. It wouldn't work. And what I was worried. I thought, I'll have to send the watch back. It seems to be defective. But in fact, the problem was I was running a countdown timer, and that's why the watch refused to go into atomic time reception. So just keep that in mind. If atomic time reception doesn't seem to be working right, check to make sure you didn't have your countdown timer running. Okay, then let's see. We'll go back to, the regular timekeeping display. Now, there are some little things on the face of the watch. You have to look closely to read these. For example, right there, RCVD. That means that within the last day or so, this watch has successfully received and processed atomic timekeeping information. So that will be there. If it hasn't happened recently, then that RCVD will not be on the display. This PS refers to power save mode, and I'll show you in a moment how that's activated. And then, of course, little P for PM. I've got this in 12-hour mode right now, so it'll show PM when it's a PM time. Right down here is just a little indicator to show that the snooze alarm has been turned on, and that this right here shows that one or more of the other alarms is also on. And then for the hourly signal, there would be a little indicator right there if the hourly signal were active. Here is the state of the battery charge, either low, medium, or high. Right now it's showing high. The battery's fully charged on this and also on this watch. If you look up here, there's A.EL. That means the automatic illumination or electromagnescence or whatever that's called. The automatic backlight feature. It's kind of a neat thing. The watch will automatically sense when you turn your wrist up a certain number of degrees, as though you've just lifted the watch up that you want to look at it. Let me just quickly demonstrate what the backlight looks like on these watches. It's the button here on the upper right side will turn on the light. Here's this one. And here's this one. As for the automatic backlight function, so let's just say the watch is down here and it's in the dark, and then I lift it up as though I'm going to look at it. I just tilt it towards me, and that's when the light comes on, just like that. As long as it's dark. See, if the solar cell is indicating that there's plenty of light, that it's not dark enough to use that backlight, then it won't come on. But if it is dark enough and you've got that turned on, then you've got an automatic backlight feature. And then just above that, DST, so what it's showing me that it's indicating daylight saving time on this display. My local time is shown with daylight saving time. And then, of course, day of the week and the date, all in that main window on your regular timekeeping screen. When you first get the watch, you want to do the basic setup, so use this button on the upper left side to get into that setup stuff. Hold that button down for just a couple of seconds, and okay, things start blinking. So the first thing you want to do is set your home time zone. In this case, I'm in the Mountain Time Zone, and Denver is a major city in that time zone, so the watch is indicating I'm in the Denver time zone. You can scroll ahead using this button on the lower right, and that's as if you're going eastbound on the map. Or in this mode, you can actually go the other direction by pushing the upper button on the right. Set it to your appropriate time zone, and then push this mode button on the lower left. Now the watch is asking you how you want daylight saving time to be handled. In this case, it's set to automatic daylight saving time display. So when this receives its atomic time information, it's going to automatically know whether or not it's daylight saving time at the moment. But you can turn that off and have it always show standard time, or you can turn it on so it will always show daylight saving time, or you can set it to automatic. Here you can select either a 12-hour or a 24-hour time display. Press that mode button again, and now you can manually set the time if for some reason you weren't getting your atomic time information, or you just want to manually set it to some other time. Here's where you can set it to set the seconds, the hour, the minutes, the year, the month, and the date. And then there's the power save mode. So what power save mode does is after about 10 o'clock at night, if you're not wearing the watch and the watch is sitting somewhere where it's dark, the entire display will go blank. And that's for just power saving. It's still keeping time. It's still doing all its normal functions, but the display itself is just blank during power save. In order to get out of power save mode, or basically to wake your watch up from a power save mode, just press any button, or you can expose the watch to a good light source, or you can pick it up and move it around because it has that motion sensor inside that's supposed to tell whether or not you're wearing the watch. So any of those will take it out of sleep mode, if you will, power save mode. And those are all the initial setup screens. So there you go. Now as for the automatic time reception from your atomic time source, right here it's showing that it has been received recently. If you want to know exactly when it's been received, push this button on the lower right side and it shows you get. So the last time it was able to get its atomic time information was 12:04 this morning, and that's today's date. So that's a good way to double check and find out, well, when did that last happen? Also, this is where you can, if you hold down this adjust button on the upper left side, you can tell it whether or not you want that automatic radio control to be on or off. So you can switch that off if you really don't want it to be resetting itself. When it's unable to receive atomic time information, or when you've turned it off, it's still going to run like a normal quartz watch and have accuracy to within a few seconds a month, but I prefer to keep it on. If you happen to manually set the time and your radio control function is enabled, then every night when it tries to receive atomic time information, if it is successful, it will override whatever manual time setting you put in there with the atomic time information that it receives. So I'm going to leave atomic time information or reception turned on. And also, when you're on this screen here, this is where you can manually tell it to receive its time information. You see, by default, when the radio control is turned on, just after midnight, it's going to try to receive that atomic time information. If it's successful, as this one was at 12:04, then it's not going to try again for the rest of the night. But if it's not successful, it's going to try again at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. It's going to try, I think, 5 or 6 times until it finally gets it. Or, if it doesn't receive the atomic time information by, 6 or just after 6 o'clock in the morning, it'll try again the next night. Reception is best at night. That's why it tries to do it at night. If you want to, you can manually tell it to turn on its receiver and try to receive any time. The manual way to do that is to hold down this button on the lower right side, and you do it like this. Put it, okay, right there. Yeah. So from regular timekeeping mode like this, push the button and hold it. And see, now I've got both of these trying to receive atomic time information right now. It says L1 or level 1 next to the time on each of these. And that means that, level 1 is not great reception. There may be some interference because I have all my video gear running right now. This is the afternoon. It's not the ideal time to receive the atomic time information. Oh, but look, now it's gone up to level 3, and that is good reception. So if, okay, it's vacillating between level 2 and level 3. But if it's able to stay up at level 3, which is the best reception, then eventually after a few minutes it's going to be able to process the time information and then just go back to regular timekeeping mode. So that may not happen right now, but that is one way that if you have good reception, you can initialize your radio control reception at any time by holding down this button. Now every time I push a button to change modes, I get a little beep that comes on. And also when I start and stop the stopwatch, little beep. If you don't want that beep to happen, when you're in regular timekeeping mode like this, you simply hold down this mode button for a couple of seconds. And eventually, look at that. I heard a little beep. And right here on the screen, there appeared this little, it looks like a musical note with a line through it. That's the mute indicator, indicating that now when I go through and try and select new modes, the beep is no longer there. So if you want the beep disabled, that's a quick and easy way to disable it on this watch. Just hold down that mode button. All right, I've taken these out of the display case so I can just show you how this one on the right has a little bit of a more glossy finish to it, and the watch band is slightly different on this guy. Whereas the one on the left, it's more of a matte finish with a different watch band. So, just personal preference there, deciding which one you want. And the funny thing is, this one on the left has this kind of fancy back on the case. It just looks a little bit more sturdy compared to this one here. This looks like it's just kind of a pop metal. I don't know what you'd call that exactly. And this one just looks a little more, I don't know, industrial. But apart from that, they're supposed to have the same 200 bar water resistance, so that's 200 meters. So, as far as the G-Shock watch, they're essentially the same functions, same features, same toughness, just a few minor differences there. And let's just put it on the little kitchen scale and figure this out. Okay, 50 grams on this red one, and looks like 50 grams on the blue one as well. So, not too heavy. Oh, 48. Okay, maybe my scale's not quite as consistent. But as you can see, okay, boy, they're losing weight. Still not a difficult watch to wear. Pretty lightweight, pretty good. All right then, before I literally close this case, just a reminder, there are many different styles, different color combinations out there. Some of them are kind of Japanese market exclusives, but if you look close enough on places like eBay or Amazon, you're gonna pay for some of those Japanese imports. You're gonna pay a lot more than you would for, say, this one here. But if you're interested in those other styles, those other color combinations, you can certainly get those. Also, instead of just the regular resin plastic watch band, some of these are out there with sort of a bracelet style linked band that also matches the basic black color. So you'll pay a premium if you want to get some of those, and maybe you'll take a trip to Japan and pick up some watches for yourself. Although I found it's not too difficult to find a retailer from Japan that will send them to you here as I am in the United States, and I was able to get this one that way. Choose the color you like best. If it's module 3159, it's going to have the same functions and features that I just showed you, and I hope you enjoy your watch. Thanks for tuning in and watching the Good Timekeeping Show with me, your host, Greg Anderson, and I hope to see you again soon next time.